Poetry Center, bringing poetry to Paterson since 1980 at Passaic County Community College.
We have a very long list of readers, even though we divided this into two sections, we have a very long list. So in order to keep it going and get a sense of the issue and what's going on in the issue, we need to go limit ourselves to one poem a piece. We don't want to have you on here until 6 o'clock tonight. This is issue number 49 of PLR, which should have arrived to you in the mail for contributors. And I'm very pleased with the issue and with the strong work that's in the issue. And I'll be very happy to listen to the poets read their work. I'm going to start with Bruce Bennett. Is Bruce Bennett here? Okay. Howard Bellson is a visual artist and he writes poems. He was awarded first prize in the 2017 Allen Ginsberg Poetry Awards, honorable mention in 2019 and 2018 and 2015 and 2013. His publication credits include PLR, Lips, Cyclamen's Swords, and Publishing. I don't know. I'm having trouble. This print is very small. It's too small for me, actually. Anyway, let's welcome Harold Barrelson.
Okay, here we go. Lady in Blue. I cut the backing off the framed watercolor portrait, carefully removing it from its frame so I can photograph it, color correct it in Photoshop as close to the original as possible, and print a copy for a friend. Woman in a blue hat with earrings. She's a 1940s woman with the appearance of just the proper look of an aspiring woman of means. Her blue hat accented with what I think were purple flowers, but here in the original work, just a wash of lavender watercolor bleeding into the blue. Her skin tones, a wash of faint rose, lends an air of fragility. Her skin appears dry as parchment, and one can almost breathe the fragrance of perfume or some fine powder. Powdered and fragile she is, a slash of red across her lips, a smile perhaps, a smirk. I don't really know. Layers, one over the other, a color or tone correction, each with its own layer to match the tone and texture of the original. It is as if the layers become the many personas of this lady in blue, as if personas were tried on like the color of a shawl or of a hat, or maybe blended like watercolors, soaked into the fabric of the paper, becoming fixed and permanent. I could not help but think of another woman of the 40s. Hers were layers of survival. She learned to put on a hat or a shawl or earrings. Each must have given her the illusion of substance, interchangeable layers, and impermanent until they were unable to be removed. Child of Odessa, at the age of 2, you came here on the Lusitania with mother and father and a brother who is never to be seen again. Child of Odessa, you came to escape the Cossacks laying waste, to live in the tenements of Eldred Street. You burnt furniture in the tub in the winter to keep warm when the heat was turned off. When the rent was due, you fled to other apartments, to other streets, to Hester Street, to Grand Street, to Orchard Street, to Brooklyn, to Paterson. It didn't matter where. I wonder what your dreams were like. I wonder if you borrowed your dreams, child of Odessa, woman of Odessa, daughter of a Russian baker. He died in the streets of the Lower East Side from alcoholism, you know. They all drank. Russian bakers did, in the middle of the night, baking bread alone in their shops. It was enough to drink. You hid from memory. You hid in dreams. You hid in the shadows. I wonder how you manipulated your layers like a shawl or a hat that you wore. Was it really that easy? I corrected the layers of the woman in blue to come close to the original portrait, to bring into focus so that one may gather just a hint of perfume, the lilacs that adorned her blue hat. No matter how I tried over the years, I could not bring into focus what remained in the shadows of your life. I wonder if your life of dreams and shadows protected you. I wonder if we all dream that way. I could see you more clearly now, woman of the 40s, woman of Odessa, how you struggled for meaning, how you struggled just to be alive, how you struggled just to breathe.
Wonderful. I loved it, Howard. Very, very wonderful poem.
Thank you.
Our next reader is Jack Foley, if he's here. Is Jack Foley here? Okay. That California contingent is not here.
No, I'm here. I'm here, Maria.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you. Oh, I see you.
I'm on the screen here. Somebody's mic is on and coughing. I don't know who, but somebody's mic was coughing somebody was coughing a couple of times during the last presentation.
Patricia, it might be yours. Patricia, do you have a cough?
Somebody was coughing during the poem. Anyway, you can hear it. Okay, I'll read my poem here.
Go ahead. Oh, wait, Jack. Let me introduce you. Okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
That's okay.
I occasionally forget who I am. You know how it is.
Okay, Jack. Wait a second. Jack Foley has published 19 books of poetry, 5 books of criticism, a book of stories, and a 1,300-page chronoencyclopedia, Visions and Affiliations, California Poetry, 1940 to 2005. He has received 2 Lifetime Light of Evening and quoting Whitman, a backward grant. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. This print is so small. I'm having a horrible time.
It's okay, Maria. I'd be happy just to read the poem. It's all right. Take a look.
Okay, good.
I've got a Wikipedia page. It's all right. They can find me there. All right. My poem is called Ballade of Neglected Poets. And of course, it's after François Villon, Ballade des Dames du Temps Jadis. Jack Foley, where is he in all these histories? Ivan Arguelles, what rung does he occupy on the ladder of poetic accomplishment? Jake Berry, musician and visual artist, as well as poet, where is he? Richard Silber, Joyce Jenkins, Ted Jones, Julie Rogers, Mackie Starfield, mais où sont les neiges d'antan? What about John Oliver Simon, Harold Norris, Mary Marcia Casoli, Clara Sue? Where are they in the great historical march of literary events? Paul Mariah, remember him? Francisco X. Alarcon, who always asked, which way is north? I threatened to buy him a compass. Catherine Hastings, David Meltzer, David Melnick, David Mason, Donald Schenker, Ed Foster, Maria Mazziato Gillen, Andrew Joran, Philomene Long, John Thomas, Carlotta Caulfield, Edward Michue, Ronald Johnson, Nanos Valeritis, Daniel Philip Brady, Ron Silliman, Jose Garcia Villa, Mais où sont les neiges d'antan? James Broughton, Big Joy, Lou Harrison, famed as a composer but a poet as well, Judy Grawn, James Den Boer, Fanny Howe, Susan Howe, Kenneth Rexroth, Louis Turco, Neely Cherkowski, Koon Woon, Dana Joya, Vince Storti, Nina Serrano, Gregory Vincent St. Thomasino, Lucille Langday, Raymond Nat Turner, Bob Kaufman, Ishmael Reed, Stephen Cole, Kalpana Singh Chitnis, Al Young, Old Char E. Linzan, Jenny Lim, Christian Panzica, Ray Miller, Hank Lazar, H.D. Moe, Mary Rudge, Lawrence Joel Eigner, Larry, more Black Mountain than language, Toby Lurie and Synesthesia, Tom Clark, Kathy Dana, Jerome Rothenberg, Clive Matson, Robert Duncan, Jess, Lola Haskins, Jennifer Reeser, Robert Sword, all the language poets, all the new formalists, all the jazz poets and the beat poets and the ethnic poets. They come and speak and are awarded prizes and then vanish like the wind. Mais où sont les neiges d'antan? The snows come and go and suffer the effects of global warming. The newspapers are full of the rhetoric of a mad ex-president. Film stars, actors in television series, performers on YouTube, popular singers. But where are the poets in all this? Catholics, atheists, Jews, Buddhists, Protestants, non-affiliated, Muslims, knee-jerk journalists, philosophers, mad, rational, male, female, LGBTQ, self-destructive, in good health, all. Which of us remembers Sarah Teasdale? Which of us remembers Eleanor Wiley? Julia Vinograd and Lynn Lifshin have recently died. Does anyone at all remember George Henry Bucker? What of Katie Cariaga Nakamura and John L. Stanizzi? Où sont les neiges? Où sont les poètes d'antan?
Kind of frightening, Jack.
You're on the list.
To fall into obscurity. Okay, I see Bruce Bennett, so I'm going to call him now because I'm afraid I'll forget him otherwise. Bruce Bennett's most recent book is Just Another Day in Just Our Town, Poems New and Selected, 2000-2016. He co-founded and was editor of both Field and Plowshares. From 1973 to 2014, he taught at Wells College and is now an emeritus professor. He was awarded the Pushcart Prize in 2012. Let's welcome Bruce Bennett.
Hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Now, sorry, am I muted or not?
No, you're not. You're fine.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you. I have a sonnet that's called Uncle Leon. He died when he was only 42, or was it 44? I can't recall that family story now, and that was all I knew of him. My father's brother, who was sweet and gentle and said that I was bright after he spent some hours one day with me, according to my mother. One day he dropped dead, a heart attack. Now brought to light this old photograph. And there he is, young and intense and staring straight ahead, so serious. That story now is his, this total stranger's. Now I see instead of one who was no more than just a name, that real family member I can't claim. Thank you.
Wonderful, Bruce.
Thank
Beautiful.
you. Thank you.
Jonathan Abel, is he here? Okay, if not, Stanley Barkin. I can only see what's on my screen.
All right, I'm here.
Where are you? Oh, Jonathan's here. Okay, good, Jonathan. Just a second, let me find your bio. Jonathan Abel is a poet who spends his days wrestling software to the ground as an engineer specializing in quality and testing. His Pancreas Sweet Tree Review. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. I'm having a terrible time. If I had realized this print was so damn small, I would have done something about it before. His poems have been published or soon will appear in Ocean State Review, Soundings East, Pancreas, Sweet Tree Review, Rogue Agent, Main Street Rag, and elsewhere. Let's welcome Jonathan Abel.
Thank you. Elsewhere seems to be a very popular location for poems. This is called How Fragile She Was. The first day my mom went completely sad. Dad closed the window shades in their room. Sunlight curdled all it touched. I fell off my counter and gathered my G.I. Joes, the blue stuffed hippo and plush Snoopy, king of all my stuffies, and faded into my closet where the ceiling sloped from roof to floor. It was no good. Lonely is the very opposite of a good boy. Be as quiet as mom's porcelain sheep and not to move.
Wonderful. Beautiful poem.
Thank you.
Stanley, I see Stanley Barkin.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Can
hear
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Stanley Barkin's latest books include Pumpernickel, translated into Farsi, Persian by Sapadaya Zamanik, oh gosh, and As Yet Unborn, translated into Dutch. I'm not going to try that. Both published by New Farrell in 2019. From Rhythm to Form, and in 2016 he was awarded the European Poet and Artist Homer Medal. In Poland, China. Sorry, I'm having a lot of trouble, and I have a terrible upper respiratory infection, which is not helping matters any. Okay, let's welcome Stanley Barkin, who spent most of his life helping other poets and publishing other poets through Cross-Cultural Communications Press, which he founded and still runs. Let's welcome Stanley Barkin.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Why my wife likes Westerns for BB. It's not because she likes the Duke and his folksy two-gun ways, Pilgrim. And it's not because in the old Westerns, how black and white hats meant good and bad. Nor was it because 2 rifle shots would bring down 6 or 7 Indians. And it isn't because she's fond of Sawahos or prairie dogs or longhorns. No, she just loves big mountains, mesas, canyons, and rock formations like those in Monument Valley. To my artist wife, these wide open landscapes are the great works of the great artist in the big sky. Thank you.
Wonderful, Stanley. And your wonderful wife, their painting in the background. Okay, Amy Barone is our next reader. And I know I saw her here.
Okay.
Amy's latest poetry collection, We Became Summer, from New York Quarterly Books, was released in 2018. She wrote chapbooks, and Barone belongs to the Poetry Society of America and Brevitov online poetry community. She lives in New York City. Let's welcome Amy Barone.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Smiter, for all your hard work. I'm honored to be in this recent issue. This is called The Bell Museum. She spoke through a bell after the stroke stole her voice. A decorative brass bell that once sat on a bookshelf with no aim became her mate. She preferred the company of friends, but few made time for my mother now that she couldn't treat them to meals, chat on the phone, and her sweet tone, the laughter. So I was moved to discover the Malmark Bell Museum, housing bells that graced churches, school music rooms, town squares. In 16th century England, handbells were used to send messages as my mother communicated in her last years. Etched with feathers and teardrops, the bell now sits on my desk. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Really good. Is Joan E Bauer here?
Yes, I am.
There you are. Hi, Joan.
Okay.
Joan is, I don't even know if I'm going to try to read these bios. Why don't you tell us what is the most important thing about you, please? Because I'm having a terrible time. I'm going to lose my voice before this finishes.
No worries. Thank you, Maria. I'm a former teacher and counselor. I live in Pittsburgh and Venice, California, and I co-host and curate the Hemingway Summer Poetry Series in Pittsburgh. And my latest book is The Camera Artist. And thank
Good.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
That's
so
much
much.
better. Trying to struggle through reading this little.
No worries. La Lupa, please don't retouch my wrinkles. It took me so long to earn them. Anna Magnani, strange to feel so drawn these days to the she-wolf, the wild rose of Italian cinema. Magnani, abandoned by her unmarried mother, grew up a big-boned girl with fierce eyes in the slums of Rome, sang in tawdry nightclubs with that low and earthy contralto. Over the years, she'd play Ennui's Medea, Brecht's Mother Courage, O'Neill's Anna Christie. She'd throw spaghetti at Roberto Rossellini before or maybe after he threw her aside for Ingrid Bergman. When her only son, Luca, was stricken with polio, she worked like a donkey in every film she could to provide for him. She complained. Everyone saw her as some sullen, lonely Electra, but she loved being Anna Magnani, laughing, joking through it all in The Rose Tattoo, 1955, with Burt Lancaster, who did not impress her. She plays a widowed seamstress, undone by grief, then revived by passion. For Lancaster's dumb trucker, Tennessee Williams gave her the line, "He has the body of my husband and the head of a clown." Thank you.
Wonderful. That's really good. I don't know if Michelle Baines is here. Michelle, also from California. Gabriella Belfilio from Brooklyn, New York. Is she here? I thought I saw her before. I'm sure I saw her here somewhere. Okay, put your sound on, honey. Gabriella, put your
Sorry,
sound.
yeah, sorry, I was having technical difficulties there, but I'm ready now.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
say a couple
Maria.
of things that are important about you, and then read your poem.
Sure. What's important? I live in Brooklyn, New York, and I am a mom to a 4-year-old, and I'm a teacher. And I have been published widely, won the W.B. Yeats Award, but I'm in the market to get my book first full length published. So I'm going to read an old poem, but that was chosen. The situation is different now. And I apologize for being outside. It's just one of those circumstances. But this one's called Another Moving Day. Another moving day. There are half-filled boxes everywhere. My cats think it's a playground I've set up just for them. Everything I pack away is something I suddenly need. My karate gi buried in the bottom of one box. I wear sweatpants to class instead. Nothing feels like it is ending or beginning, more like a wash cycle. Hot, then cold, everything turning, mixing, and bubbly white suds like spit rising to the top. Enough. I want a home with pictures on the walls. I hold two I framed together of me with my grandmothers. In the first, I'm a baby with the slightest fuzz of milky hair. My Nana has hers braided. 2 pearly ropes overlap across the top of her head. She's looking at me, such pride. I'm looking down, my dark eyes captivated with something outside the picture. In the second, I am fresh out of college. I sit at the same kitchen table my father used to growing up. My grandma and I gaze into each other's eyes. We are smiling. She's wearing a matching blue flowered dress and jacket that she has sewn herself. I'm wearing black velvet. Our hair is the same hue of roasted chestnut. Staring at the pictures feels private, like memory. I wrap the frame in newspaper. I say goodbye to the rooms I've lived in. Wonder if I will ever be caught on film holding my child's child, the corners of my home collecting dust. Thank you
Wonderful.
very much.
Very beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our Bremmer, Ron Bremmer, is our next poet, and he's from Glenridge, New Jersey. Let's welcome Ron. Where is he?
Right here.
Okay, right here, but I can't see you. All right, just, well, it doesn't matter. You start speaking.
Okay.
Whether I see you or not, it doesn't make any difference.
Okay. January 7th. Put the Christmas cards into the recycle bin. Seems like they're fewer than ever this year. Good. Less trouble. Less to respond to with our arthritic hands. Way back when, as a little boy, I remember filling slots on a hanging card-holding Santa. At least 100 then. Cards from aunts and uncles and cousins and second cousins. They all sent them then. Cards from neighbors next door and across town. From never seen but not forgotten friends. And those mysterious, fabled cousins from Montclair that we only knew existed at Christmas time. Now, our parents long gone, our siblings in faraway towns, we get just a few cards and send just a few. Only 2 of our nieces and nephews bother. Our cousins have lives that do not intertwine with ours as they used to. That is life today. And though usually it feels like our cup is filled to the brim, when we stop to think, it is less full with humanity than with computers, phones, gadgets, and Facebook. And it's hard to know if it's better now or then. Oh yes, we still get Christmas cards from Glenridge Auto and Macmillan Plumbing. But since they'll be retired soon, that bonus will end also.
Wonderful, Ron. Thank you very much. And you speak for many of us, I think. Charlie Bryce from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Let's welcome Charlie. I know I saw him before. There he is.
Hi.
Hi. A couple of words about yourself, please, so that I don't have to use what remains of my voice.
Well, thank you, Maria, and thank you for including me in the reading. I am a recovering psychoanalyst, you might say. I'm retired. My 5th poetry collection called The Ventriloquist will be out soon from WordTech. I think that's about it. My poem is called Something in Us Loves a Good Storm, and that title comes from a sentence in Jerry Dennis's wonderful book, The Windward Shore, A Winter on the Great Lakes. Something in us loves a good storm. We turned onto Thumb Lake Road 25 years ago in a blinding blizzard, a horizontal havoc of snow blowing across our windshield. The windshield wipers couldn't keep up with that northern Michigan blizzard. To calm nerves and create distraction, Judy read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone aloud to our 16-year-old son, Ariel, and to me. Just as she got to the part where there's an ominous knock on the door during a ferocious storm where Harry has been sequestered by the evil Dursleys, just as that terrifying knock, our van went completely dark. Starless, moonless midnight encased our Honda. Was Voldemort after us as well as Harry and Hagrid? No, Our harrowing experience was caused by hitting a snowdrift that completely covered our van. This is it, I thought. We'll be stuck here until they thaw out our frozen corpses in the spring. I envisioned walking for miles in below zero temperatures to find a kind farmer who would let me use his phone to call for help. But then, as if Harry had cast a decidium spell, our conventional non-four-wheel drive, gray, gasoline-powered chariot carried us through the storm and into Boyne City, where we found a restaurant, ordered a hot dinner, and renewed our wish to find a place to live amid this arresting Arctic beauty. When our waitress, a young lady a little older than Ari, asked for our drink orders, Ari ordered a Coke, and Judy said she'd like a Virgin Mary. And then, when this sweet maiden, festooned in the nascent bloom of femininity, asked me what I wanted, I said, wanted a virgin. Our waitress blushed. Judy frowned, and Ariel turned the color of mortification. Having rescued my family from the frozen fright of northern Michigan and having done my paternal duty of causing our son to wonder what horrible curse Voldemort had cast that made me become his father, I reclined in my chair, smiled, and enjoyed the storm.
Wonderful. Really good. Next is Judith Bryce, also from Pittsburgh. Judith, just a couple of words about yourself and your background.
Okay, well, I'm a psychiatrist, and I have written 4 books. The last 2 came out in January. And my advice to everybody is never publish 2 books at the same time because it's horribly difficult to sell them both. But anyway, one is entitled Imbibe the Air, and the other one is Shards of Shadows, a COVID diary, and it's a chapbook just about living with COVID and in the time of COVID. So my poem today is entitled First Grade, and here it is. And I'm sorry, I have a kind of chronically scratchy voice. First grade. I never knew that teachers could be named after apples. But then again, I never knew that a teacher like Mrs. McIntosh could have boobs as big as cantaloupes. Boobs he would show off each day under the see-through blouses she wore. Those blouses with little knobs on them that made you want to pluck or pull and say, hey, why do you wear a blouse so thin? One of material the same thickness as threads, where you can see right through to those under things and almost feel the frills of your dainty pink bra, its lining of exquisite satin lace. It is so delicate, so different from my mom's thick cotton one, just plain and stiff, boring white. There were a lot of things to learn that year, besides the alphabet and spelling, including the long halls to the girls' room, where the commodes usually overflowed because someone, no one really knew who, had used too much toilet paper, and you always got your Mary Janes and toes all wet if you didn't look carefully before you entered. 2, there was the already munched chewing gum, so carefully placed in a wad under those small little desks and stuck just so that if you raised your hand after you'd crossed your legs, raised it while you were trying to learn about something that Mrs. Apple called social studies, though it might as well have been named just plain boredom, you might end up with a hunk of gum on your skirt. And that glob It just wouldn't come off in the wash when you got home, even after your mother scrubbed her hands raw, chafed them pink red bare. But then again, the memories that stuck the most, even with all that I learned about additions and subtractions, drawing my alphabet letters, even the special skills in reading and those boring social studies, the memories that stuck were my new friends, especially those friends I made in my forays away from home as I learned to walk back and forth to school. Stuart would usually come by my house, and then 2 blocks straight up Powell Street, we'd ring Jenny's door. With bouncing braids, she'd come running out, and then we were halfway there. I knew because my mother had measured the miles. From that point, we would watch the sidewalk, jump the cracks, couldn't afford to break our mother's back. And of course, we had to avoid the lines. My mother's spine seemed okay, but then again, who could really know? She didn't ever wear see-through blouses.
Wonderful. Go ahead.
I'm still going.
Go ahead.
But one day, we were told that Jenny wouldn't be able to join us. And the next days and the next, it was the same. Brain cancer were the words we heard, the words that stuck. We didn't see Jenny anymore that year, though every day without a word or whisper between our lips, we looked towards her house through the beech tree, massive, hefty, branches bulky, beside her home. Stuart and I stared hard, saw only darkened limbs, soundless, hanging heavy towards the ground. Thanks for bearing with me.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Next, Chris Butters from Brooklyn, New York. Chris?
Hi. Yes. Thank you for having me. I live in Brooklyn. I worked for many years as a court reporter in criminal court before retiring, and also have been a poet and activist with varying degrees of success over the years. The title of my poem is Colors Are for Everyone, for my son Alejo. I remember when you walked into the clothing store and asked for sandals and picked the pink ones. And the sales lady said, "You don't want those. Those are pink. Those are girls' colors. You want the purple ones." You looked gravely at her and then replied, "Colors are for everyone." We told everyone that story as if you were a prodigy of your generation. Colors are for everyone. Although sure enough, the next year you refused to wear those same pink sandals because your friends were wearing purple ones. Not to mention later North Face jackets and then Air Jordan sneakers and so on and so on. And soon enough, you had begun that long journey towards appearing like everyone else. And our only hope was that you passed through the stage of that cloud and come out the other side. I could look at everything we did to make you a gentle, progressive man as a phenomenal waste of time, thrown away in the dustbin of history or down the drain of the moon like so many leaflets seem sometimes against the endless war. But some planets don't die when they disappear, but germinate of everything that came before. This we must believe, we who raised you and love you, that the seeds we planted will flourish, and the apple never falls far from the tree if the roots are solid in the ground. In spite of the all too many demonstrations we dragged you to, the mistakes we made, the roads we walked, that you will wend your way back to the base of that freedom rainbow we ached to create for you, the equality of the colors, black, pink, purple, blue, of the men and the women, and the ocean that connects us all. Like the light from a distant star, only now arriving, or a song you find yourself singing in the dark, strange and yet so familiar, words you didn't know you knew anymore. The words come back to knock your heart. May the colors of that song be carried deep inside you. May that hard upbringing be like a seal that keeps you safe from harm. May the man grow from the seeds we have planted. May the boy inside the man who said that beautiful sentence survive. As surely as you must know all the years of your life that you have been, are, and always will be loved, and that the workers will rise and take back the dark, and that ours is the earth and the trees and flowers and the sky, and that colors are for everyone. Thank you.
Nice. Wonderful. Beautiful poem. Barbara Crooker from Fogelsville, Pennsylvania. Barbara Crooker, I know you have a new book.
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Thank you, Maria. Thank you for having me. Like Gabriella, I also won the Yeats Poetry Prize. Grace Schulman chose it. And I also won the Thomas Merton Poetry the Sacred Award. Stanley Kunitz chose it. And my latest book is Some Glad Morning from University of Pittsburgh Poetry Press. American Robin. Here's that bird again, launching from the rhododendron, banging his forehead on my living room window. Thump, thump. Does he see his own reflection in the glass, or does he see a rival, a threat to his nest? I hang a black raptor silhouette in the middle square, but that does not deter him. Knock yourself out, I keep thinking. Next, I try cardboard, then a sheet of newspaper smeared with its terrible news. He comes back. Do I admire him for his persistence or shrug at his stupidity? Thunk, thunk. Today I read how fast the glaciers are melting, the seas are rising, the Amazon is on fire. We know what needs to be done, but won't do it, and no amount of warning seems to make us change our course. Up ahead, the hard reckoning, the implacable glass pane. Yep.
Wonderful, Barbara. Thank you. Next, Helen Marie Casey. Is she here? Sudbury, Mass. Helen? Okay, unmute yourself, honey.
And you won't forget me, Patricia Clark. No. Oh, sorry.
Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me?
Helen comes before. Helen,
Oh, okay.
She comes before you. No, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. A pleasure to be here again. My most recent chapbook was You Kept Your Secrets about a young grandson who committed suicide. My poem today is called All of It Leads Me to You. Does it matter that I don't understand the tilt of the earth or that it wobbles? Can it make a difference to the way I live my life, to know or not know about why there is summer in one and winter in the other hemisphere? Isn't it enough to know what I know with you? If I watch dragonflies, damselflies, hornets, hummingbirds, mourning doves, perhaps I know enough. I know this, which the good sisters of Notre Dame taught me. Ah, qu'il est bon, le bon Dieu. He is an artist, le bon Dieu, the good God. And so I study the way daisies dance, straw flowers learn to capture the sun's honeyed light. Sweet peas cling and roses live to seduce I too was made for love and language. You arrived, teaching me the way the world turns. Weather is as it is, how eels wonder works. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Next is Robert Claps from East Hampton, Connecticut. Robert Claps here. Okay, not Patricia Clark, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Patricia Clark.
Hi, and thank you, Maria and Smita. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'll just say that my 6th book came out in October of 2020, and the title is Self-Portrait with $1 Million. There's a little humor sometimes in poetry. And my poem today, the title reads into the first line. Sometimes we think we've written about someone enough, like writing about one's parents, but my mother has a way of coming back into my poems. And this is called She Had a Way. She had a way of making it all right, often by preparing food. One day I'd flown in from somewhere and she made me a crab and avocado sandwich and one for herself. I can see the kitchen, toaster oven, how efficiently she scooped out the avocado, her poise with a knife, the bread toasted, the crab in large chunks from the claw. That was my last glimpse of her Browns Point kitchen. I remember the year she bought new drapes for the whole house, shears in new rooms we used the most, living room, dining. She was so proud of those drapes. Then my parents went on vacation. Jean and I stayed home. No parties, they said. A ready invitation for us to open the house to friends. Of course, someone got pizza sauce on the shears. An old friend long since disappeared. Martin, I think, or was it Craig? We did all we could to get it out. Our one panel of the drapes soaking in the bathtub. They were the nicest thing she'd ever had. Thank you.
Wonderful, Patricia.
Thanks.
I wouldn't have wanted to give her that news. Susan Kolbach, is she here?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
where are you?
I'm right here. Maria,
Okay.
I'm right here. Okay. So I'm a retired French teacher and I've discovered poetry late in life. It's a great pleasure to me to be writing poetry now. And let's see, a great pleasure to have been published in the Paterson Literary Review and to be here with all of you. So here's my poem, Big Game. While pushing mother in her wheelchair in the park, Windsor pink lipstick on her lips, her favorite hat, a pith helmet, more or less straight on her bobbling head, I watched the people watching her, thinking, if you laugh, I'll kill you with my bare hands. We were on safari on a bank of the East River, where all looked manicured and set, the boats on the river harrowing the brown water. Mother gulped it all in, the pith helmet nodding in approval of the hopscotching children, of the cooing nannies with their charges. We stopped to watch old men play chess, seated at permanent cement tables and benches. Occasionally a horn would sound on the river. When she spotted a speed walker, stopwatch in hand, determined, focused on his goal, mother whispered in that quavering voice, once I am well, I too am going to take long walks. Of course you are, I lied. lying having become as easy as imagined murder. Thank you.
Wonderful. That is really beautiful.
Thank you.
What a great poem. The next person is Kathleen Corcoran from Owings Mills, Maryland. Is she here? No? Okay. Christine DiGostinio? No?
Hello, right here. Hi. D'Agostino, I'm right here. Thank you.
I find the person who's speaking on these.
Thank you so much, Maria, for having this event. I'm really excited to be a part of Paterson Literary Review. I live in Vermont, but I'm a Jersey girl at heart, born in Ridgewood, and my grandmother was from Hawthorne. And this poem is for her. Her name is Betty Bucher, and for my father, whose name was Joseph D'Agostino. And I just want to say hello to my mother and my aunt. Okay. This is called Tutti a tavola, come to the table. After the chemo, all you want to do is watch cooking shows. We bask before the television as before an oven on a cold day, watching Lydia toss onions into a pan of glittering olive oil. Our noses strain to smell her pot of marinara simmering as we drift to another kitchen far away, grandma in tennis shoes and a ruffled apron, layering slices of fried zucchini with sauce and Parmesan. Your taste buds these days are shot. Ziti tastes like wood chips, pizza like a paper bag. Still, like a child, you savor the sight of food, watching pizza commercials, eyes wide as pepperoni, as you lament, just look at that dripping cheese. Kale smoothies be damned, we chase away the pain of the present by recalling meals of the past, chanting recipes like prayers. Shrimp scampi with shallots and butter, veal parmesan with marinara, pasta fagioli with garlic and cannelloni beans. And suddenly, with a pinch of basil, a table springs up before us. Great grandma's silver set beside the gold-rimmed china with pink flowers. So absorbed are we in culinary magic that when Lydia announces her TV meal is finished and calls tutti a tavola, we are not surprised to see our own ghosts of the hearth creeping in from the room's dark corners. Great Grandma Anna and her sisters, Uncle Tony, Louis, Nicodemo, Fred, and Laurel. Smiling, they take their seats and pick up their forks, ready to taste and to savor, to embrace one more meal. Thank you.
I love it. So Italian, darling. So Italian. Wonderful. Okay, Cole Dupuy. Dupuy, am I saying that correctly? Vessel, New York? No. Okay, Jane Ibihara from Hackettstown, New Jersey. Jane, didn't I see you a minute ago?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, just have to find you again.
I'm right next to you on my
Okay,
screen.
I got you.
Hi. My bio is on my website, janeabihara.com, if anybody wants to read that. But I have 2 chapbooks, and my new full-length book is coming out momentarily. And the title of that book was taken from the poem I'm about to read. So, Driving Home in the Rain. It was reasonable at first. Tapped the windshield, obscured the gray evening. At Gratitude Farm on 94, the sign is still visible, though pond and field have already coupled. Farther down, yellow frame Presbyterian and Wilbur's Country Store preface the deluge. Turning onto 519, only the taillights of the pickup in front of me hold me to my proper lane. Still, what beauty blurs beyond. You would have loved this countryside, this place where I now live. I am the daughter you'd remember as the cautious one, but look how I move with confidence, though the double yellow line is lost in the storm. I'm still not the country girl you wanted me to be, but I want you to know that I share your love of the land, want to wrap myself in these fields, bathe in loam and the fruit of the plow. I regret you didn't live long enough to know me now. I'm sorry too, I didn't stop back there on Long Bridge Road, where a little miracle occurred. If I had gotten out of the car, I could have straddled that yellow line and with arms outstretched, stood halfway in rain and half in dry night air. From that edge of rain, I might have seen the hills lift above the sodden field. Thank you.
Wonderful, Jane. Beautiful poem. Okay, Donna Emerson. Is Donna here?
I'm here. Wait, let me open up.
Just wait a minute. I have to find you. I'm sure you're here, but somehow I seem to be having difficulty finding you.
No, I have to unmute. There. Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, good. What a pleasure to be here today, Maria and Smita. Thank you so much. And to hear everyone's poems. I'm so impressed with how in the moment they are and how vibrant they are. I can feel everything that you say. So that's great pleasure. For me, I'm a retired psychotherapist and college instructor, and the proud mom of 3 adult kids and 1 grandson. And I'm happy with my Allen Ginsberg Awards, my 4 chapbooks, and my 2 full-length books. The latest one coming out just before the pandemic, Beside the Well. What's new for me is I've been asked to judge poems in various journal contests, and that's a whole new world. It's rather mystifying at the moment. The poem I'm going to read today came from a weekend workshop with Sharon Olds, where many of you know she wrote an entire book called Father. I stayed up one night, all night, reading it. I got so depressed. I had to think there's another way to look at fathers. So she said in her book, Father, that if she had been raised on love, she would not have felt such disdain for her father. And my poem is called I Was Raised on Love. I was raised by a loving man. He was rarely there. He stood behind aloof, duty, gotta go. While he died, I held tight to his love, spit out his untamed names for despair, reached through stiff percale for his hands, last words, a blessing. But we had formal conversations. He spoke of his oat cell cancer, his funeral, pain, said he was not afraid, just wanted the nurse with the pills. He thought the man in the next room had died and no one came to check, asked me to look, insisted that it be now. I stepped next door, found a dead man, his wife, and priest in prayer. Told Dad the man was with his wife, safe. I expected it to end there, accepted that it was enough for me to love him, hold his hand, share silence. His strong hands, well-formed, confident, long-fingered, gentle. Had we held hands in our life twice? Slowly, he squeezed my hand and said, "We'll get through this, honey." I cried open-mouthed, using his name from childhood, the father I'd hoped to see up close someday.
Wonderful, Donna. Really beautiful poem. Mark Fogarty, are you here? Rutherford, New Jersey. Mark Fogarty.
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Okay. Let me see if I can find your picture. You're here somewhere, right? Oh, there he is. How are you?
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm a poet, musician, and a journalist from Rutherford, New Jersey. And I was last year's editor of the Red Wheelbarrow. And I want to thank you, Maria, for putting me in number 49. And my poem is on page 233. It's called Once I Saw a Picture of a Ghost. Two young women walking home through a dark Haskell Indian Nations University saw something that scared them. I was scared even by the photo they took. The form of a young girl standing in the window of a dark and empty college building, silently looking out, lit only by the light of a flickering television set. The light of the TV could be seen through her motionless body. Let's go, the young women said to each other. Let's leave her in peace. My own experience of ghosts is that they interfere with electricity. My ex and I were sleeping in a New Orleans hotel room when the television started to turn on and off. A porter who'd been helpful on repeat visits to the airport Hilton had died, and she felt him there now. I spoke to him. It's time to go. We deserve our privacy. One of the young women wrote a story for the Haskell paper. I saw it while judging a contest, though it hadn't been entered. I hope she becomes a journalist and writes about what she sees. We deserve to be frightened by history, by the dead at Wounded Knee, even if you bring them tobacco and tie it to their fence. I think I know who the girl in the window is. Haskell Indian Nations University used to be an Indian boarding school, a place that saw many unholy gashes where small coffins were laid unmarked in Kansas, a hole in the exact heart of the country. I want to go beyond that hate, that still uncertain light, and find a place to recognize dead children in the night. Thank you.
Wonderful, Mark. Thank you very much. Beautiful poem. Michael Galco from Houston, Texas. Is Michael here? Michael? No. Okay. Christine Jeleno, I saw you. Winston, New York. And I just saw you a minute ago. Christine?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Hi, honey.
Hi. So I thank you, Maria, for all that you do for poets, all the many things that you do for poets. I have 3 full-length collections of poetry: Remorseless Loyalty, Appetite for the Divine, and my most recent one is called Crave. The poem for which I won a Pushcart Prize actually originally appeared in Paterson Literary Review, which is the reason it had an opportunity to even be up for the Pushcart Prize. So thank you for that also. Poem I'm reading from number 49 is called Worm Moon. Worm moon, sap moon, crow moon, all references to the softening world of winter giving way. Sap rising in the maples, worms wriggling from flooded burrows to chance it with the beaks of returning robins, crows cawing in the change. Knowing spring's early harbinger is glowing when I chance to wake at 3 a.m., I make a point to check the sky and find the moon has settled into our woods at the hill's crest, her splendor rendered cozy as she fits herself amongst the oaks, the hemlocks, and the inspired sleep circles of the deer. I picture her glittering silver in the eyes of silent, satiated coyotes, shadows who wend among the tree trunks. Gradually, like an eyes eclipsed by the eyelid in one struggling but failing to stay awake, the moon shrinks down to half, to quarter, to mere nightlight on the forest floor. And then the dark, the buoyant dark, like that which floats beloved children into dreams. Thank you.
Beautiful. Love that last line. Okay, next, Debra Garrish from Murray Hill, New Jersey. By the way, Christine's from Windsor, New York. Debra Garrish, Murray Hill, New Jersey. Where's Debra? I know I saw her before.
Right.
Oh, there she is.
Thank you so much, Maria. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank
I
you.
am a retired English teacher and I live in Murray Hill, New Jersey. I often write about my Armenian heritage and family. My fourth collection of poems will be out in 2022, and my latest collection is entitled Light in Light. This particular poem, which is published in number 49 PLR, is about my mother. My mother lives in many of my poems. What I can't explain. This morning, I search for my mother, though 24 years since her passing. I step inside the family house, breathe in the roasting lamb, inhale fennel in seams of drapes, coriander like perfume in the woven Persian rugs. I visit her kitchen, clanking kettles and copper pans, search the bedroom, scented closet, chiffon dresses, wool sweaters, scan her bookcase, ponder poems she loved but cannot find her. I am looking for my mother, magnolia tree in our long ago backyard, its wide arms, its tender petals scattered like words of silver. I wait, listen, then nuzzle there. Thank you.
Wonderful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Kyle Gregory from Saxon Harbor, New York. Kyle Gregory, I know I saw you before.
Yep. Hello, Mary. It's an honor to be here with everyone. My bios can't keep up with me. I've moved from Sackett's Harbor to the Southern Tier, where I'm a graduate student at Binghamton University. I work with youth in the local schools, and I have taken on a project to curate a collection of Maria's written work and her visual art that will be on display soon in the campus library. The poem I'm reading is The Dentist. The dentist has drill and dripping syringe in each hand, and I am tensed up so anxiously, he and the nurse can feel it too. He says to me, the poets are calm, and if he weren't about to fix my knife fight, I would probably laugh at him. Not the poets I know. We are eyes and margins, want and tirelessness, hot need bordering on whoredom and homelessness and rage. We are the loveless pillow grip, longing for cold toes and arms to cool our ceaseless inferno. I say, give tortured souls microphones so we can all be their healing and their perfect broken teeth. Thank you.
Wonderful. So good. Is Ray Hammond here? I don't see him. Raymond Hammond? Okay. Hammond? Okay.
Mute. Pat Hardigree is here.
Go ahead, honey.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, I've been retired for a while from a great job in IT, where I did very well, but it was good to retire and concentrate on writing. So I've had many, many workshops since then with Maria and other poets and Laura. And so I'm very pleased to read and honored to read this one about a young girl who did a really fantastic thing of riding a bicycle, standing up 750 miles with her father on the back. This is in India. The 750-mile bicycle race. As the pandemic began, Jyoti Kumari, 15, carried her disabled father on the back of her bicycle for about a week for 750 miles. Jyoti rode her bike 100 miles a day, sleeping at petrol stations or by the road, her father on the seat, she stood all the way. Her injured father encouraged her to pray and find the strength for her precious load. Jyoti could pedal 100 miles in a day. Migrants like themselves gave them aid. With thoughts of mother's comfort food, she rode. Her father seated, Jyoti stood all the way. They would make it, so certain were they. Her father did not complain or moan. Jyoti rode her bike 100 miles a day. A truck driver stopped, offered a ride one way. He'd come 1,000 miles down that road. Seated, they went 30 miles, no delay. Refreshed for an hour, they kept on their way. Now, closer to home, she drove her bike and rode. Jyoti rode more than 100 miles that day. The town folk waved them home the rest of the way. Thank you.
Wonderful, Pat. Next is William Harry Harding, who's from Rainbow, California. I love the name, Rainbow, California. And I know I saw you a minute ago, Bill. You're there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here, Maria. I'm
Okay,
here.
well, I've lost you somehow or other. I know you were here a minute ago, and I saw you a minute ago, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm right here.
As long as I can hear you, that's the most important thing. Okay, so go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, there's really nothing I can say about myself that would help, except that Maria and I grew up in the same Italian neighborhood of Paterson, New Jersey, and because of education in the arts, and in my case, great good luck, we both made it out of there. This is called Or Current Resident. At my grandmother's knee, I learned Italians invented everything except the blues. Everybody said so. Beyond her kitchen, the lies of my heroes disintegrated like grape leaves in sun. Holes burned through, veins crumbled. On those Lenape hills, in this Luiseno Valley, rivers carve the terms. We drift like ancients now deep underfoot, and that juvenile red tail overhead hunting thermals. I love this cover, Maria. Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to be part of it.
And I want to say that Bill has 4 novels that are absolutely wonderful, and you must look them up and get one of those novels because they are tremendously beautiful, and you'll be glad you did. And also he edited the San Diego Poetry Annual for many years, founded and edited it, and also I think is the head of the San Diego Arts Guild. And our next person is Julie Hassett from Narragansett, Rhode Island. And I know I saw Julie.
Hi, Maria.
Hi.
Well, thank you so much.
Introduce yourself, please.
I think
my voice is just limited. It's going to be a limited amount that I can do.
I know, and I appreciate all that you already have done. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in that subgroup of poets who are also therapists. Still, I'm edging towards retirement, but I haven't quite gotten there. This poem is entitled Revision. I'm revisiting eggs, cooked sunny side up, onions, greens, spiced curry on my lover's new gas stove. Reconsider cracking the door to a new dog who will never replace the old one, but will come when called. Revisiting purple irises, white zinnias cupped in green vase on the pine table. Summon the lure of harvest moon low on the horizon, who calls to anyone who will listen. Revisit Christmas last year, tree lugged alone through the front door, jammed in stand. Needles rain down, trunk in a permanent question. I recall children posed as angels in front of branches, plunked in a tree stand, tinsel of halos above them. That year, the tree fell 3 times, hauled to final burial in the backyard. Visit often my shadow self, that old curmudgeon, the one who discharges apologies before anyone can criticize. Her I discharge to the universe and beyond.
Wonderful. Sorry, I'm like being violently sick. Next is Betsy Hearn from Urbana, Illinois. Is Betsy here? Betsy, you
I
are?
am. Yes, I am.
Okay,
Here I
good.
am. Can you see me, Maria?
Oh, yeah, now I can see you.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
I look ghostly because I'm actually in our cottage in Ireland. And of course, it's quite dark here. And I'm trying to light things up a little bit. I'm a professor emerita from the University of Illinois. One of my books is A Narrative Compass, Stories That Guide Women's Lives. And apropos of one of the other poems, a recent story that was published is The Cobra's Son, which was about my father growing up in India. The poem that I'm grateful to have appeared in Paterson Literary Review is called Climbing. 2 dogs, long dead, wait at the top of the stairs. They watch attentively, obsessively, as my mother, 92 and also long dead, looks up at the mountain ahead, and after a steep pause, gathers her strength to put one foot after the slow other, hands gripping banisters toward her room. It's across the hall from the bathroom, too far for her at night, but all we can offer. Later, after her broken hip, it won't do. But now the dogs give it their all. Border collies waiting to rescue her should a foot slip, their ewe fall from the precipice to the ledge below. I snapped a photo of them then, not nearly so vivid as their glowing watch over the old woman I am now in my slow ascent of those same stairs.
Wonderful. I understand feeling very well. Steph Hillwood from Detroit, Michigan. Here. Okay, Richard St. John. I know I saw Richard St. John here. I'm sure I saw him.
Oh, I'm here. I was just unmuting myself. Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm also from Pittsburgh, and I've got 2 collections of poems out from Truman State University Press. The most recent one was Each Perfected Name. And thanks to Paterson Literary Review and to all of you wonderful and very patient readers and listeners out there. This poem will also be included in my new collection, Book of Entangled Souls, that's due out from Broadstone Books in July. And it's very short. It's called Mother at 87. We wonder what she's doing for hours at her kitchen table. Sorting papers, she says. Sometimes we pause and explain, this one's junk mail. That's a notice, not a bill. an old church bulletin, another appeal from the Children's Fund. She touches each page with her parchment brittle hand, then picks another paper up and sets it down. She never seems to throw anything out, as if she's only practicing the letting go. Thank you.
Wonderful. Practicing the letting go. Very good. Diane Corey from Cresco, New Jersey. Diane, I know I saw Diane before.
I'm here. Okay. The only thing I'll say is that I started writing poetry when I was 18, and I wrote for myself when I no longer had to write for school. And I've been writing ever since. Okay. The poem I'm reading is Choosing the Old Way. My grandmothers had pierced ears, tiny holes punched into earlobes while babies in Syria, each wound adorned with gold and gems to decorate their tender faces. They arrived in America at 4 and 14, learned their new language, new ways, discarded those labeling them foreign, soon sounding as American as their classmates and their earlobes bare, except for tiny holes visible to observant eyes. I discovered those holes as a child, wanted each tata to insert an earring, poke it out the other side, but the holes were closed, they said, the earrings long gone. American now, they wore earrings that clipped on or screwed tight, just like my mother and aunts wore. But my sisters and I chose the old way, sitting at the kitchen table, one pushing a flame-sterilized needle into another's ears, then gold studs wiped down with alcohol. Each day we cleaned our healing lobes and excitedly bought new earrings, gold and silver balls, hoops, hanging, jingling, sedate. To our mother, piercing was barbaric, something done in the old country, but not here. Until one day, years later, new earrings appeared on her ears, earrings with no clip or screw, but earrings pushed through her flesh. Mom, we cried. She laughed, pleased with herself, having waited all week for her 3 sharp-eyed daughters to finally notice the golden studs secure in her freshly pierced lobes. Thank you.
Wonderful. That's really wonderful. Ken Ronkowitz from Cedar Grove, New Jersey.
Hello, Maria.
Hi, sweetie. I know you're here because I just saw you.
I'm here.
There you go.
So when I'm not writing poems, I enjoy reading poems that people submit to my website, which is an online monthly poetry magazine called Poets Online. It's at poetsonline.org. Been around for 23 years, not as long as PLR, but pretty good for electronic. This poem is called The Bed in the Dining Room. The bed in the dining room was my father's bed, placed there when he came home from the hospital. No longer able to climb the stairs to their bedroom, his left side paralyzed when they removed a tumor from the right side of his 47-year-old brain. My mother had watched the surgery from a gallery, much cruder in the early 1960s, as Dr. Winter probed at points and asked my father, anesthetized but awake, to tell him where he felt the touch. That's my toes, or the fingers on my left hand are tingling now. Our dining room table and chairs were moved out, and with the maple leaves removed, it became our kitchen table and chairs big enough for 4. The dining room became not exactly a bedroom. The metal hospital bed with cranks to raise and lower head and feet, and a pole with ropes and pulleys to do my father's physical therapy with the thought that his ability to move arm and leg would return. It never did. We lifted those dead limbs up and down, fighting gravity and atrophy. The the wasting away, this Darwinian descent of one man who knew in his own evolution that they were becoming vestigial, like wisdom teeth, appendix, tailbone, a father, son, and husband. Thank you.
Wonderful, Ken. Beautiful poem. And next is Helen Ruggieri from Olean, New York. Helen Ruggieri, I don't know, I saw you before, Helen.
Yeah, lovely to hear you say it correctly. I usually spend half my time saying, no, it's not Ruggieri. Anyway, I have a connection to Pittsburgh like everybody else, it seems. I taught at the University of Pittsburgh, but in Bradford, PA, way in the far northern reaches of Pennsylvania, and live across the state line in New York State. I used to say I was under arrest for taking terrible things across the state line. Sometimes you're just present when a poem happens around you, and you just write it down. And that's what this poem is. It's called Exclusively Yours, Beauty Shop. Of course, the shop is shoppy, S-H-O-P-P-E. I don't know why. A woman with enough tinfoil in her hair to pull in signals from outer space begins to sing along with WOLN, the golden oldies that play in the background of our lives. Give me that old time rock and roll that permeates the driver's roar and smiles break out. Jefferson Airplane comes on next. Grace Slick singing, don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? And we all join in. We know the lyrics to this one. The shampoo sink gurgles, the dryers hum back up. Lorraine conducts us with her brush. Eventually, combed out and beautiful, pay up and leave the shop, a song in our hair. Thank you.
I love the last line, a song in our hair. Wonderful. Thank you, Helen. Zan Wintress. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. Zan.
Hi, Maria.
Hi, sweetie.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I'm Zant Wintries. I'm a poet and spoken word artist. I'm always honored to be included in your pages and this. I have a couple of concert appearances behind me, and this past summer, and coming up in January, I'm in a new Zoom original musical called Humanity Denied, and I have a website coming up shortly where several of my poems I will be performing. Today, I'm reading Dream Job. I had this job once that I had to quit. It was a part summertime job, but not a summertime part-time job. It was part summertime as my last couple of weeks there were in June, which I guess doesn't ultimately qualify as summer since only the last week and a couple of days in June are actually summer. And I ended up having to quit before the actual first day of summer. So I had this job I had to quit. I cried when I quit that job. Cried. I mean, it was a dream job and that it was a living nightmare. Literally cried, bawled, wept, and fell to pieces and into a puddle right there in my boss's office as I was giving my 2-week notice, which I had to give because I simply could take not one more day at that place, I explained to him. My life was going absolutely nowhere. I was dead ending. I was in an actual panic. This was not where I saw myself ending up. And I had to take action and get out before it was too late. But first, I had to pull myself out of what was turning into a fetal position, which I did with the help of my boss, who helped me pull myself up off the floor so I could sit back down in the chair I'd fallen out of, so I could pull myself back together. That's when the reality of the spectacle I'd created hit me and the humiliation set in. I thought of immediately fleeing the premises right then and there, but that would have been the icing on this little cake of hysteria. And that was that. My boss was understanding, told me a 2-week notice was not necessary, and told me I could leave right then and there without fleeing the premises. I wasn't able to walk out of there with my head held up high, but the relief that this hell was over was all that mattered. My vistas were now wide open and I could see clearly again. 18 years old, and I was going to be going places after all. Thank you.
Wonderful, Zan.
Thank you, Maria.
Now, is there anybody I missed? Shout now or forever lose your chance. I just want to thank you all for sharing your wonderful work and for making the magazine a really strong magazine, I hope. And I love the work I published, obviously. And I love hearing it in your own voices. It makes it very special to actually hear. And some of you I've never met, to see you and to get to hear you read your poems. The next issue will be out in 2022, and we're accepting submissions now. So since you're already in, you can send me submissions starting next week to my email if you want, as attachments to my email. And if maybe I should give you my personal email, mgillen31240@gmail.com. Please don't forget to enter the Allen Ginsberg Awards contest also. And I hope to see you all at the next PLR meeting in person. I hope so. It's much easier than trying to do it this way, but we could get people from very far away this way. So that was good. Thanks so much for all your fine work. And thank you for letting me print it and focus on it. And forgive my losing my voice.